All right, folks, we are back live. It's the Alex Jones Show this May 8th, Friday, 2009. I'm Jason Bermas sitting in. We've got Chris Pinto in this segment of the America's Secret Beginning series. The latest, of course, is Eye of the Phoenix. You can get that over at Infowars.com. Or if you get all three, basically we're only going to charge you for two. $59.95 gets you all three films over at the Infowars shop. And I had Pinto on my program probably about a month ago. I do a little radio show here, The Info Warrior, 9 to midnight. And it was just a great conversation. I really love this guy's work. I mean, I think David Bay is the other guy, but I've seen all three of these. They are extensive. You don't have to agree with every point to see that something is going on here, and they're just so well researched and well done. It's really comparable to something that the History Channel would put out, so it's very digestible for people that don't know about this information. I'd like to thank Chris for joining us. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Jason. How are you?
I am good, man. Eye of the Phoenix is the latest one. This one really just excellent, goes really deeply into Nicholas Roerich, Manly P. Hall, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the people under Roosevelt, and really the secrets of the dollar bill. It shows you why this Illuminati symbol, this all-seeing eye symbol, is on the back of the dollar bill, how it got there, and so much more. Why don't you tell people how you got started on this entire series? Because it's almost complete. It's almost 9 hours long. I would guess probably 8 hours and 30 minutes, 8 hours and 15 minutes, somewhere around there. And it is a one of a kind series.
Yeah, it's I've been studying New World Order information for close to 10 years now, and making documentaries about it. And when I was doing some of the early research on the New World Order, I came across this whole doctrine about America as the new Atlantis, and this information about Sir Francis Bacon and this plan supposedly that went back thousands of years that looks to the ancient philosophers like Plato and Pythagoras and others, and that this plan had somehow or other been handed down over the centuries. At least this is what's believed by certain writers of arcane lore, and that it was picked up by Francis Bacon and Dr. John Dee in England during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, and that they had this vision when America was discovered, when Columbus makes this discovery in 1492, and then this knowledge now of this new world comes to Europe. Men like Bacon believed that what they had really discovered was the lost continent of Atlantis. Not symbolically or metaphorically, they didn't believe Atlantis was beneath the ocean, as some on the Discovery Channel and so on, scuba divers looking up under the water. They believed that this continent that you and I are sitting on, that this was the site of ancient Atlantis. And they believed that it was, mystical, it was symbolic, that there was a reason why the gods, if you will, had revealed it to mankind. And that from this land, mankind would have a new beginning and would somehow or other resurrect the ancient Atlantis, which, according to legends and so on, was not just a city or an island, but it was a commonwealth that extended to all the world. Ultimately, Atlantis reigned over the whole earth at that time, or at least according to the legends. And so they envisioned a new Atlantis going forth that would be based on these new philosophic ideas that Bacon had, and that this would ultimately envelop the world and develop into a global society.
Yeah, develop into what they call their ideal system, the New World Order. Again, that's a phrase and a term that they use and we report on. We'll be back after this with America's Secret Beginnings own Chris Pinto. It's the Alex Jones Show. I'm Jason Bermas sitting in. PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.
The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.
All right, folks, we are back. It's the Alex Jones Show. I am Jason Bermas sitting in, and we are joined by Secret Mysteries of America's Beginnings, writer and director, all three parts, Chris Pinto. And Chris, you know, all of these really touch on similar ideas, and it progresses, but that one idea of the creation of this new global governance, this new world order, you refer to it as possibly world democracy. You get into masonry, secret societies, the architecture of D.C., and in the latest one, the Maitreya figure. And I want to get into that Maitreya figure a little bit later and how that may coincide with the Bohemian Grove. I sent you a couple pictures after our discussion the last time. But why don't you give an overview of, you know, people like Benjamin Franklin and Queen Elizabeth who are featured in the first one of these, the New Atlantis?
Well, Queen Elizabeth, she's a very interesting character. I mean, she preferred at the time, the politics of England were very much Protestant England against Catholic Europe. And the Pope had excommunicated Elizabeth, and was trying to have her assassinated, basically. And so you had all of these spies, you had Jesuits, you had very zealous Catholics who, according to the Catholic doctrine at that time, if a monarch were excommunicated by the Pope, then Catholics who were faithful had a responsibility not to obey that monarch first, and second, to try and kill them. And so this created, a climate of potential assassination around Elizabeth. So what happened was the English formed a number of groups, at least one in particular, the Rosicrucians, who formed around Elizabeth to protect her from assassination. So they developed an intelligence network where they were involved with ciphers and secret codes and all this other kind of stuff. And Bacon and John Dee, in fact, John Dee is the original Agent 007. He was the inspiration for Ian Fleming's whole James Bond series, because Dee would sign his correspondence to the Queen 007. He's also the original magus or wizard figure that inspired Dr. Faustus, inspired Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, inspired Albus Dumbledore from the Harry Potter books, and so on. So Dr. John Dee is a very interesting character, but he was the Queen's astrologer, and he had a powerful influence over Queen Elizabeth and apparently on Sir Francis Bacon. But Dee was the head of the Rosicrucians for a time, and then he handed off the reins to Bacon. Bacon ends up financing the Virginia Company, heavily financing the Virginia Company that then comes to Jamestown in 1607. And if you look at the Great Seal of Virginia today, the Seal of Virginia has a picture of a female goddess wearing a helm and a spear, okay? And she's got her foot on the throne of like a fallen, or on the neck of a fallen tyrant. And the goddess, if you look at her very carefully, they give her another name, but she is almost the exact image of Pallas Athena. And Pallas Athena was the goddess that Francis Bacon claimed was his muse, his inspiration and so on, of wisdom and whatnot. So now you fast forward into American history, 100 and some odd years later, and you've got Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was in his day like he was a latter-day Francis Bacon. Bacon was the father of the modern scientific method. He developed all of these ciphers and secret codes, had books on them and so on. Very involved in printing and literature and writing and publishing things and so on. And Benjamin Franklin was involved in all the same things. A lot of people don't realize, we know, Franklin from the discovery of electricity, but he had a number of scientific inventions that, the bifocals and so on. But he was very involved in science, very involved in writing and printing, even as Bacon was, and he even published a book on cipher secret codes. But he was, during the American Revolution, what Bacon was during the time of Queen Elizabeth, because Bacon was a part of this whole intelligence network to protect the Queen. And Franklin was really the Special Forces intelligence guy during the American Revolution, working on behalf of America over in Europe. He was in France. He was in England. He was the member of secret societies in America, England, and France, the three countries that were all involved in the American Revolution.
And these secret societies, by the way, are the precursors to today's intelligence networks. I mean, that's even mainline. I mean, in The Good Shepherd, the film by Robert De Niro starring Matt Damon, they openly show you that they used Yale as a recruitment tool for people in Skull and Bones, which was yet another precursor to these intelligence agencies, to bring in the CIA and the OSS.
Absolutely. I mean, the Her Majesty's Secret Service, MI5 or MI6 and all of that in England was with Walsingham, who was working with Bacon, John Dee, all of these guys. This is how they developed their secret code system.